Thanks. As Tina mentioned, we at the Institute of Employment Studies were evaluating the EDI grants, not this particular year, but rounds 2, 3 and 4. So hopefully some of the stuff we'll say now will be useful to people who are running current projects, but also people who might be thinking of bidding in future. As Darren touched upon this morning, our findings have been really broadly very positive, and we found that the EDI grant has added a lot of value at a time when there are lots of cuts, when people might be thinking that equality and diversity could be one of the things they can afford to sacrifice. We found that it's been an important source of funding for people looking to advance, extend, embed work in this area. It's given neuro-equality strands a greater profile and status, and it's encouraged innovation and good practice. And if you look at the Excellence Gateway, for example, you'll see some of the case studies and work that's already been done there.
I think one of the other really important things is it allowed people to have that chance to test out those new things that we saw people, particularly with partnerships where there wasn't a space for them to try out that new relationship, that it kind of kicked off something that actually that became sustainability, and the actions of the project was that kind of almost a means to an end to get that going.
So some of the things that we found some of the more successful projects had in common. Firstly, things like sort of careful project planning. So people had really thought about resources for the project when they were bidding, time, some had put in contingency arrangements if things could go wrong, they put some thought behind that. And really, some of the applications we read, really you could see a lot of thought had gone behind demonstrating the need for the project, the target groups. Some people had done consultation with their groups before they bid for the project. There was a clear purpose behind a lot of these projects.
And there was also a kind of really clear direction of exactly what the need is and how that was going to be tackled, how that was going to be followed through. Even on the application stage, that was really clear on the steps that followed into a really successful, really sustainable, really exciting project.
And the second sort of common success factor in a lot of these projects was sort of learner involvement. So a lot of the projects that actually involved learners or the target group at some point were really quite strong in terms of giving those groups a sense of ownership of their project. It improved the outcomes because, as we've just seen, it really is all about them. They are the sort of end beneficiaries, if you like. And it developed a lot of the learner's skills. So they'd get involved in a project, but along the way, they'd develop confidence and all sorts of other skills. A lot of successful projects had robust partnerships in place, so these were partnerships that actually added real value. They shared a similar commitment to the project goals and often were mutual beneficiaries of the project in some way, shape or form. And they brought sort of complementary skills and experience to the project.
I think that was really important that was the case, because ones that solely relied on goodwill alone, it became really difficult to kind of keep that partnership momentum going through the project.
Senior management buy-in. I think a lot of the successful projects we spoke to talked a lot about how much easier it was if you had the vice principal or someone from the senior management team who was really behind the project, or working in an organisation that really prioritised equality and diversity, and how much that helped in sort of pushing the project through. And sometimes if it was a project that was spread across the organisation, there would be people who would say, well, what's that got to do with my area of work? People often didn't understand what the project was bringing, why they should get involved and give up their time and the rest of it. And having that sort of senior backing helped.
And I think it also played a really strong role in dissemination, particularly through kind of networks and to get that mainstreamed into other providers as well.
Yeah. And the last thing was, if I can call it, sort of commitment to the project. So a lot of the really effective projects that we talked to really have quite a clear passion for the area they're working in, commitment to the project. Some people sort of, openly acknowledged that it was kind of additional work on top of their day job. And so what mattered when people really pushed for time and were doing this as a sort of extra to their day job was sort of working with committed partners and a team of staff and going the extra mile, if you like, for the project. And as Dan touched upon this morning, I mean, we did sort of highlight areas for improvement and sort of gaps, if you like. And we sort of came to the conclusion that although it had been broadly very beneficial to the sector, that really in the future projects should really look to embed, sustain and extend good practice so that the good work could be extended more broadly in the sector. So, for example, thinking about, it's already been mentioned, working with other colleges or other networks, developing existing resources that are already out there, because there's a lot of good practice that's on the Equality Toolkit's website already, on the Excellent Gateway, but we don't come across very many projects that have picked up on something like that and tailored it to their own setting or extended it in some way.
I think one of the other ones was particularly something suggested by skills funding agencies, really strong providers, helping providers who perhaps don't have the expertise. That would be an area that would really give some movement in.
And also projects sort of considering right from the start how their activity can be continued once the funding has come to an end. It's quite often you get a chunk of money and work is done and it's all very good, but then when it comes to an end, that's it really. So maybe when you're considering activities at the start, maybe it would be helpful to sort of ask of the project, does it involve changes to the curriculum, to recruitment processes, to delivery, to governance, those sorts of things that will have a longer term impact beyond project and its